party started. Get the word out, get it started up, whether chat fills up or not. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I'm your host, Kalari GXC. Hopefully, y'all can hear me all right. We are going to get started on a lot of topics, especially the State of the Union. As you see, I have this screen cap from the amazing State of the Union address that President Biden gave last night. I watched it, I took a ton of notes, but before that, I just want to get to the nitty gritty of why these Bonnet Chronicles are important to me. Social awareness, political awareness is our forefront. It is the only way to stop ourselves from being marched into fascism, being good little foot soldiers for fuckery. But we are up against so many fronts. And there are several states in our 50 state country that are problematic. Looking at you, Florida, this article made me pause. It didn't make me pause for good reason either. I was shocked by the fact that a state could even pass a law like this. But it's Florida, so what do you expect? And this is Florida Senate passes bill banning local heat protection for workers. Now, I know some of you who watch me might not be from the U.S., so you don't understand why heat protection might be needed for Florida workers. Some of you have come to the States, so you know Florida is one of our more hot tropical like states. Is where we get our oranges and everything. So workers, whether they're construction, postal, or everyday service workers who have to be outside, like lawn and maintenance care, it's essential that they have both heat protection and ways to battle when they get 90 plus days, which is often in Florida. To have the state Senate decide that heat protection for workers is a bridge too far is scary to me. I don't understand what's going on with this, but I'm not shocked. The Florida State Senate passed a bill Tuesday that would prohibit local agencies from implementing. Thank you, Grandemir, for the lurk, and I hope you enjoy your pizza, dear. Florida State Senate would prohibit local agencies from implementing heat protection for workers. A GOP-controlled Florida Senate voted 28 to 11 to pass the bill, which would ban cities and counties from adopting mandatory water breaks and other extreme heat relief measures that go beyond what's required by state or federal laws. So, if you want to have empathy for your employees, if you don't want them to die of heat stroke, if you want to be the kind of boss that wants to make sure that everybody's taken care of, don't be an employer in Florida because their Senate said no. You don't need to treat those workers like they're humans. You don't have to give them provisions in heat areas where the heat gets above 100 at times. Just do what the state minimum requires. You know, the same thing they do on chain gangs. The state bill, the bill, Senate Bill 1492, fitting number, was introduced by Senator Jay Trumbull. I've heard his name before. Don't like him. Political subdivisions can't establish, mandate, or otherwise require an employer to provide goods and services to meet or provide heat exposure requirements that are not already mandated. So you're literally telling employers, Senator Trumbull, that protecting their workers needs to be back burner. Who cares? If a person dies, it can be replaced, right? We're just cogs in the fucking wheel that the GOP uses to continue to pull their coffers. Supporters say the bill will establish uniform regulations instead of having inconsistent rules. Are you fucking kidding me right now? So you're going to penalize employers that help protect their workers because you want uniformity? You can't make that make sense because it's not logical. Labor organizations, of course, are pushing back, arguing that heat protections are necessary for safety, particularly for those who work in construction and agriculture. And need I remind you, our postal workers who are outside too, because not all of them get air-conditioned vans still. I lived in Florida. I've seen them trucks. The bill would be implemented beginning July of 2020. Of course, one of the hottest months in Florida. But it awaits approval in the House, going before Ron DeSantis, or Def Santis as I like to call him. That's before being signed. It comes just after the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration confirmed that 2023 was the hottest single year ever recorded. The summer season also was confirmed to be the warmest on record. Florida employers will be required to follow a general rule set by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which has not yet issued standards for dangerously high temperatures. Of course not. So basically, Florida, which should shock no one, decided that the employees of companies that require you to be outside to work no longer have to go the extra mile to make sure that you're safe and well-being is okay in high heat. But we want a GOP-led country, don't we, y'all? That's what we want. We want people that treat the workers like they're expendable and disposable, right? All the stick-it-to-libs like me who just want everybody equitable. Way to go. And they're not alone. We have Texas now. A federal judge ruled minority business program must serve white people because we haven't spent centuries doing that. We haven't spent centuries being second-class citizens in our own country. So now, business programs that were set for POC, especially Black POC, to fund and start small businesses in Texas must serve white people because they don't want to feel excluded even though they have a path to actual business loans without having to jump through the hoops of being a minority business owner. Now they want in on this, and we're supposed to treat it like that's fair. Let's see what this article has to say, because it's fuckery, but it's American fuckery as usual. White conservatives nationwide are waging a legal, legislative, and administrative attack on minority-owned, minority-led, and minority-serving organizations. Shock face. Honestly. The latest example, a federal Texas judge, appointed by Trump, of course, ruled on Tuesday that Minority Business Development Agency, the MBDA, a federal organization that helped minority-owned businesses since the Nixon administration, will need to start serving white people as well. I can't even get through this because I feel like I'm living in an Onion fucking parody. Is this real life? Is this real life? Because it doesn't feel like real life to me. The Judge Mark Pittman, followed a lawsuit on behalf of white plaintiffs by the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. It just keeps getting stupider. The well just keeps diving deeper into a pool of stupid. Time's up. How cute and utterly detached from reality the little quip is. As I wrote last June, the Supreme Court, by suggestion that racism is a thing of the past. I feel like my brain cells are getting less reading this. And this is a legal ruling by an appointed judge by the turd that was known as 45. By suggesting that racism is the thing of the past and its ruling against affirmative action in college campus admissions and against the Voting Right Act, because they don't want us to vote, they don't want us to live, they don't want us to make money. They just want us to be scapegoats, people that they accuse of bringing everything down, people they accuse of being uneducated, because it makes their little feel better to think that we're below them. And when we prove they're not, they get angry. We'll take affirmative action from you, okay? So we won't go to Harvard. We'll go to HBCUs. We will still get to learn. We will teach our own. Well, we won't let you in our businesses. Okay, we'll open up our own. Well, you can't do that. If you're getting loans for your business, white people need it too. You get plenty of loans from the actual Small Business Association. Well, it's still not fair that you get special catering to you. The whole fucking country special caters to your demographic, but it isn't fair that POC, which isn't just black people, mind you, Hispanic, Asian Americans, Southeast Asian Americans, indigenous, all benefit from these programs. And because certain white people under the conservative branch think it's not fair, thinks it somehow gives us a leg up on them. They decided that in Texas, because this isn't everywhere, y'all, they need to be in on it too. This is what life under the Republicans would constantly be like trying to appease toddlers. And speaking of which, the IVF situation, which was more Republican putting their foot in stuff. And I will definitely talk about it more when I talk about the State of the Union. But Kay Ives had to scramble this week, y'all, because the Alabama, because I almost called it Florida. I don't want to conflate the two states because Alabama is over towards the west. Their idiot Supreme Court, because each state has Supreme Courts, legislators, and everything else. It's our way of checks and balances. They decided that fetuses were real life. They were children. They should be treated like children. If anything happens to said fetus in an IVF center, those people could be charged both criminally and civilly. It blew up in the conservatives' face. Because I know they want women as brood mares. They've made that clear from the get. But what they don't seem to understand is that when you declare a fetus a living, viable human, that things like miscarriages, things like safe and legal abortion, things like the IVF center having an incident, which did happen in Alabama, where fetuses were accidentally dropped. And I think one where the facility had a outage and fetuses were damaged. By declaring those fetuses legal citizens or children with rights, you put your whole idea to make women brood mares by any means necessary in danger. So Kay Ives scrambled. They did get a temporary band-aid on this as Alabama clinics resume treatment under new IVF laws, but experts say it will take more work to protect fertility services. Because honestly speaking, the Supreme Court is meshing with we want to make certain demographic babies be the dominant in our country. A lot of people from a certain demographic have the means and the abilities to use IVF. And because of that, this law put that in danger. You put in danger women's abilities to safely give birth. But you're supposed to be the party of pro-choice. The new law does not address the issue of personhood at the heart of last month's unprecedented ruling, which prompted some providers to halt IVF services. And experts say it's going to take more work to fully protect fertility services in the state. Alabama Supreme Court ruled last month that frozen embryos are human beings and those who destroy them can be held liable for wrongful death. And the problem with that is shit happens. A lot of times they make these embryos in batches because you never know what's going to take. And now with these really draconian laws being passed, heartbeat bills, must carry the term bills in some states. I've heard the rumblings. This shit's getting scary. Beyond handmaiden. This is like handmaiden on steroids. The fact that they are supposedly calling themselves the party of pro-life, but they don't understand that until these zygotes literally have enough of a viable host to give them the nutrients, the protection, the sustainability to grow into actual functioning babies? No, you cannot give them personhood. But this is the antiquated bullshit we're up against, and it's why the GOP are scrambling, y'all. And the fact of the fucking matter is, there are far too many people A-OK with this fuck shit. And like I said, I want to get to the State of the Union. But I need to address two things before I address the good. Because the State of the Union should have had way more decorum. Should have had way more people who understood their place as sitting politicians, not acting like complete imbeciles and idiots. And we didn't have that. We had people acting like complete numbnuts. And give me just a moment here, y'all, because my stuff is not coming up the way I want. Yeah, we get that out of there. This dum-dum, Muppet Green, as I like to call her, continuously howled, just gawking and heckling our president, throwing up names of somebody who was murdered by an undocumented person seeking asylum here. Because the whole term illegal and the fact that the president used the term illegal, I don't give a fuck about. He wasn't calling people illegals. He was mirroring what the howler monkey was yelling at him, first of all. Second of all, as the president said, plenty of legalized Americans here commit murder and crimes. So if you're going to utilize some young lady's murder as a gotcha at the State of the Union address, Muppet Green, you can have a nice cup of shut the fuck up, and you can do it in one of my lovely little travel mugs. It's got a handle. It says, okay, dum dum, whatever, in a very fancy font. I gave the first one that I had printed out to Axiom Wolf. He loves his. I got mine, and I'm sending one out to another person that I admire. I will be sipping from that. Probably tomorrow on the Saturday Bonnet Live that I do on YouTube now, calling out the heifers, because I'm constantly calling both of them dum-dums, or there'll probably be more. But just to see the looks on people's faces being next to this idiot trying to huckle. And she knew nobody wanted to join her in that bullshit. Nobody wanted to be a part of being disrespectful. She is forever going to go down in history as the embarrassment of the Republican Party. But you shouldn't be shocked. And then this heifer, who I'm only going to give light attention to because I didn't watch the rebuttal. I don't think anybody who is a pragmatist really cares about what the Republican Party has to say about this. But the fact that they stuck this apparent up-and-coming freshman senator, this rising star from the South, in her kitchen to give a rebuttal to the State of the Union address. She whispered a lot. She called the president a liar with no receipts. This is what we are literally up against. These handmaidens for fuckery. And she isn't alone in this. What drives me nuts is that there are articles being elevated and amplified with these women who are undecided. Like this young woman who NPR decided to make a focus of their topic. I wish I could take bits and pieces from their track record and put them together, add a few ingredients, and make the perfect president. This was a line that Alexander Nevermind, a friend of mine from Spoutable, put out there, and we all pretty much had the same reaction to how stupid and fuckery lace this was. What was the good about 45? I'll wait, because I remember all the people I've lost under his presidency, the destabilization, the downplaying, hand-holding terrorist. I am really shocked, but not surprised, that the demographic who voted for him in the 50 and 60 percentile range are still sitting on the fence because they don't feel centered enough. Because equality and our rights to bodily autonomy is not enough for them. Because they think in a theocratic fascism society, they'll be the head bitches in charge. They'll be the ones leading all of society while everybody else just languishes or does as they say. And it is their delusion in this situation that is dangerous for us. And our fourth estate is playing games with our democracy right now. We cannot afford this. But I'm definitely going to get back to what is most important in this. Let me get that up. Give me just a moment, y'all. Because it is viable to me to talk about how fire the State of the Union address was yesterday. When I tell you as a pragmatist, politics have been burning me the fuck out. I'm not just saying that for pity or anything else. It is exhausting trying to keep up with all 50 states' fuckery and shenanigans. It is exhausting because some people will be like, well, Ting, you're in a nice liberal elite state. Why do you care? Because I'm in a fucking red county right now. And there's no such thing as a perfect liberal elite state. Need I remind you, I come from New York City, which is split. I came from the borough that was highly red, still red, Staten Island. To act like New York is just this bastion of liberalness is insane to me. We have upstate New York, which people tend to forget about because they only see the city as New York, which is just like where I live here, just divided in pockets of red, just waiting for the chance to roll us back into the 14th century. That's why bills in Florida, based on 1492, are being passed regarding people as disposable. But when I tell you that that State of the Union reignited the pilot flame in me, reignited the fiery passion that I have for politics, I'm not being hyperbolic. And I sat last night taking a copious amount of notes. So we're going to go over this as best as I can because I only want this to be an hour long, y'all. But my State of Union notes was just how I thought in the moment watching our president. And I'm going to say, he's our president, whether you like it or not. Talk about all of these issues. And starting out from the top, the extra long focus on the greetings always got on my nerves, but it is what it is. We don't have editing. It was a live presentation. So I'm just glad that people at first were cordial. VP Harris and the Hydra leader are in a jovial mood, and it was. It was nice at first to see VP Harris being cordial towards Speaker Johnson, or the Hydra agent as I like to call them, because this was a monumental event. And most people, even in politics, even if you're not on the same side, should behave like they have some decorum. But I do love, and let me get this up really quick because somebody on Spoutable put this up and I grabbed it from them because it really was what was going on at the time. Let me change this over just really quick. Let's change it over. Come on now. Got me looking like a daggone boomer. That's not going to change over. It was one of VP Harris giving the side eye to that man. Let me see if I can change this picture to it because I thought it was a funny caption. No, that is not it. There we go. America's side eye. Because the man had to capitulate and clap so much to what President Biden was saying. And I seen that side eye. We all see. VP Harris gives the best side eyes. And as somebody who is a side eye enthusiast, I applaud how much he had to look over at the Hydra agent. But getting back to the seriousness of my notes of the situation, the STOU, or State of the Union address, was what the president needed to both show that he is not cognitively failing, which is what the GOP and our broken fourth estate was running with, to address so many issues that a lot of people want to tell us, well, the president obviously doesn't care. But we're going to get to that. He started out talking about going back to FDR in 1941, bringing up the U.S. and Allied forces versus Hitler and the Nazi Germany party. Freedom and democracy is under assault. That is the whole reason why he drew those parallels before those of you want to go, oh, it's Goggins Law or whatever that is. He talked about President Lincoln having the nation divided. And I did put the extra we know why the nation was divided. I kind of went off on a tangent with Axiom Wolf about how so many people still put that man on the pedestal. But he is on the record saying that if he could have kept things the way he was making America money, he would have. And I'm not saying that the 14th Amendment wasn't important. And I'm not saying that he did not free my ancestors. I'm just saying that too many people keep referring back to Lincoln, and we need to kind of move past that now. Because those of us who know the real understand that if he could have found a peaceful way for the America not to be divided by the Confederate States and kept the Union whole, my people would have still been in chains. Point blank, period. That's the way it is. There's a reason why so many of these fuckers are still running around with rebel flags. They want to drag us backwards, but we're not doing that at all. He called, well, I call Putin an SOB. I'm not going to put that in President Biden's mouth, but he will not stop with the Ukraine. That was a point that President Biden was making, along with saying the Ukraine is not asking for our soldiers. They're not asking for ground troops to be fighting with them. They just wanted both weaponry and financial aid, which we have given them. We will stand by them as they fight against this unjust war. We are also going to work within our means to get our hostages that Russia's holding back. It was very strong and firm that our president is not going to kowtow to Putin's antics. And he highlighted that 45 told Putin that he could do what he wanted. And that shit needs to be said. We, as the American people, need to understand that when you stand behind somebody like 45, you are literally standing behind a man that is willing to capitulate to terrorism, to people who are literally killing and slaughtering innocent stuff. And I know some of you's watching will be like, well, Tin, aren't you doing that by standing by Biden? What about Israel? I'm going to get to that. Because I know a lot of people think that's their gotcha, and I'm going to get to that. Let's see. He brought up the successes of Sweden joining NATO, along with Finland. Sweden Prime Minister was in the House. NATO does need to stand up to Putin because it is the collective jobs of the United Nations and of NATO to protect citizens home and abroad in every country. And we are literally watching a man warmonger his way. And as the president said, he won't stop with the Ukraine. Now, I said, America will not walk away from the Ukraine, but I also noted that I can already hear the folks going on, what about Gaza? We're going to get to that. Believe that, y'all. I still got over 30 minutes. He brought up the January 6, 2021 insurrection. These people were not patriots. They were trying to destabilize a free and fair election under the charge of 45. He is the one that incited them. He and his other little minions are the ones that helped bust them out there. And a lot of people are sitting in jail now feeling fully stupid because they supported this insurrection. They thought that they could blindly tantrum. In 2016, when the horrors of what was going to go down went down, we didn't storm our Capitol. We didn't try to steal ballots. Some decided that they were going to put on pink pussy hats and march and all that bullshit. But a lot of us started working together, forming groups that could get people aware of voting necessities. We worked with each other on social media and beyond to make sure people knew that we are only going to give this bastard 4 years to wreck us. And boy, howdy did he. And the fact of the freaking matter is, we told him in 2020, you need to get packing. And by 2021, we were swearing in our new POTUS and VP. That is the power of working together. That is the power of people who are determined to protect our democracy. What we cannot do is continuously act like these people who are willing to commit treason and insurrection are the main political force of power. Sure, they've got their proper little handmaidens who would love to march us into that weird theocratic fascism, but there are a lot more of us than them, and all we need to do is wield our power to vote, to protect our rights as citizens, to protect our rights as people who can give birth. Because need I remind you that trans men with uterus can still give birth. And you don't have to wrap your little bigoted minds around that if you don't want to. But I understand that people who have the right to conceive need to be the only ones making the choice and decision in the steps of contraception and birth. Not some politician who doesn't even know how bodies biologically work. And not anybody who just wants to be pro-life until they come out and then I don't want to pay for them. It's socialism to give government programs from schooling to feeding to housing. I don't want a better America. I just want America better for me. Their selfish entitlements noted, and yous can go fuck off. Okay. I said I agree about Trump being a wishy-washy ass. The president also flamed those who only love us when we comply to the conservative BS. History is watching. He brought up Alabama's IVF ruling, because their Supreme Court took advantage of the repeal of Dobbs, which was key in Roe versus Wade in protecting our rights to decide what to do with a non-viable or even a viable fetus that we do not want to carry to term. And a lot of states went whole ham with heartbeat bills, with arresting anybody for getting the procedure for any reason, whether it's incest, whether it's the life of the mother, or the person being able to carry the fetus. It is a dangerous time to be anybody with a uterus right now, and it's sickening. We do the majority of the fucking work for birth and even the carrying of the conceived fetus. Yet they don't respect us enough to make the choice on whether we can do it. They don't respect women who get the ultrasound and find out that the fetus inside them are dead or have so many birth defects that it would be more harmful to the mother and child for this birth to go in, because they don't care. They don't care about our rights. They don't care about equity. And that came up a lot in the State of the Union speech. He's turning the conservative BS narrative against reproductive rights for those who can have kids on his head, and he sure did that. And he said we need to codify the protection of women's body autonomy and birthing rights, and we do. There's a bill on the House floor currently, which I know is going to go nowhere because our House is currently led by the GOP and their Hydra agent, this doofus who's sulking back there. It is a mess. And because of our system of checks and balances, the only way we are going to right that mess is for you guys to take state and local elections seriously. Stop giving assholes like Speaker Johnson a chance to ruin America. We have had several threats of government shutdowns, which don't just affect regular government employees. Everything from the post office to state agencies will be harmed by a government shutdown. Yet people don't seem to care until it comes knocking at your door. And it is viable that you start understanding what your representatives are voting for, what they're trying to push. That shit that went on in Alabama hurt hardworking American families who just want to have kids, who can't naturally do it because of health issues or other conditions, and now have fertility clinics unsure if they can help them with IVF now. Because we still want these draconian laws which protect the fetus and zygote over the person who has to carry that fetus and zygote into actual childhood. You can't make this shit make sense because it's not logical. And you can't make logic stand against people who just want their way, who just want power and the power of the Lord over people they think are beneath them. And women, aren't you just fucking tired of being beneath everybody? For no fucking reason but, oh, you're just a woman, you're too dumb to learn. Oh, you're just a woman, you can't understand stuff. Man, get the fuck out of here with that nonsense. 45 did fail as a POTUS. Talking about COVID. Millions of unnecessary life lost. Friends and family we never get to see again because you decided that we need to just take a chance on a failed business owner who bankrupt casinos, a reality TV show jackal. I'm never going to forget seeing my friend on a fucking respirator saying she still had hope. She was a nurse. She spent her whole life caring for other people, and she died of COVID. We had a pandemic response team. That fucker fired them. 45 fired them because he didn't need anybody telling him what to do. If you didn't capitulate or kiss his ass, he did not care. He knew the illness was airborne, but he thought it was just going to kill my community. So he let it slide until millions of people died from this. He downplayed a vaccine rollout that is still being used to now help cancer treatments. And there are still people in this country afraid to get that fucking shot because that fucking idiot made it clear that you can be anti-vax. It doesn't matter if you die of the plague or spread a plague that's preventable to people. It's your right to not trust medicine. I don't understand it. It's not logical. I'm boosted 4 times. My partner's boosted 4 times. My kid is boosted 3 times because we don't want to die from a preventable disease. And as a Gen Xer, I've been getting inoculations since I fucking can remember. I'm still standing, y'all. And what drives me up the wall is these people who will, well, it's too fast. They can't develop. You literally get information in seconds on your device. Well, obviously not the stagnant brain of you. But you don't think research labs and facilities that have been around for fucking decades can't develop medicine that can help us? Are you kidding me right now? Welcome to the chat, Beans. I don't understand these people who, exactly. I don't understand these people who are anti-vax anymore. Oh, it might give our kids autism. We proved that wasn't the truth. Oh, it might give heart issues. So will that Big Mac and cheeseburgers that you shovel down every day. Oh, I'm a macrobiotic vegan who only believes in sun energy healing me. I can't talk to you. So I'm not even gonna. There is limits to the amount of fuckery I'm gonna mess with, but I'm just kidding. There are a lot of vegans that went and got that inoculation too. I just like to shade y'all from time to time. It's just jokey joke. But for real, we are in a country of entitled ignorance. And the fact that the president rolled out after coming from nothing, because Trump had nothing rolled out for us. He didn't even want to give us the American Relief Act, which, need I remind you, Nancy Pelosi got that when she was Speaker of the House. Under a GOP presidency, it'll be a lot worse because, need I remind you, Trump was eyeing how Xi Jinping declared himself president for life. The Republicans know that if they get even a small crumb of a chance at the White House again, they are holding on to it, and we are never going to get another chance to get them out of it. So it's on us who want to fight for democracy to pay attention, to phone bank if you can, to text if you can, to postcard, to inform people of what's up, because we can't play with this anymore. They have made it clear how far they're willing to go to restrict the rights of freedom of certain Americans. And we are seeing that all angles, certain demographics just kowtowing to being foot soldiers for fuckery. And we need to get with this administration, which is the most diverse. So many walks of life are now represented in our American cabinet. Native Americans and Indigenous. LGBTQ+. POC from every fucking walk of life have now been appointed to cabinet position. Because we are a melting pot, whether people accept it or not. But if we keep letting the GOP erode at that melting pot, the only people who are going to suffer are those of us who want the road to progress, who want equality. And exactly, GOP has lied to Susan Collins, has lied to several of the women. That's why I don't understand GOP women politicians at this point. Yous are trying to act like everything will work out for yous under their true goals, and no. Yous are not seen as equal people under their eyes. You're seen as useful puppets to their agenda. My notes keep going though. I talked about the COVID vaccine being used to help cure cancer issues. But then the president got to the financial aspects, and this is where Tim perked up big time. Because as you know, I was formerly in finance. I was a bookkeeper for years too. This was my wheelhouse. He talked about 15 million new jobs. And I sidebar, my partner got a great tech job thanks to the new jobs he implemented. It's remote. He was going to go on site, but we're still being remote, so it's fine. It pays well. And we are happy and feel blessed that we were able to find this opportunity. And the fact that people want to act like, well, 15 million jobs, that's too much. Or is it enough, as the media tries to say? I literally see an article trying to downplay the fucking boon that these jobs have made for the American people because they want something to ding this administration on. And it's ridiculous. Small businesses are on the rise, especially POC small businesses. Thousands of new manufacturing jobs, especially chips, the electric chips that go in the cars, smart sensors, and everything else that we were outsourcing are now being made here in states like my own current state that I'm living in. From electric cars and beyond, this will help, and these jobs are vital to stabilizing our society and economy. Inflation is going down, even though food prices are still out of whack, and our president is working with his cabinet to see what we can do. Because he is not anti capitalist, but he does not like the fact that these businesses are gouging us out of our hard earned dollars. This is hurting the people at the bottom. So I know the people at the top don't care, but we got a president that cares about us. Because need I remind you, the boy's from Scranton, and he's come from blue collar. He also talked about how our infrastructure will be done in America, made with American products, from our timber to our concrete to everything else. Because while outsourcing and trade is necessary from time to time, we need to keep certain jobs here so that the job is done proper to our proper specifications. And I always agree with that. I've had family in construction for years. And it's heartbreaking to me seeing small construction businesses especially go out of business because we had to outsource because lumber is cheaper somewhere or this is that. Driving down and back and forth, both downstate for doctor's appointments and just into the next town for certain shopping, we have seen tons of lumber and other trucks just moving product now. That is the power of keeping stuff within our country to build up our nation. Our infrastructure, yeah, I already said that. He throws shade at the GOP loyals who love the money coming in, but don't want to pay them taxes. He also brought up the auto workers in Belvedere. The UAW president was in there. My grandmother was a lifelong member of the UAW. Several of my family members were members of the United Auto Workers Union. That industry in itself kept America through tough financial times, including right after the Great Depression. The United Auto Workers Union is one of the strongest unions in America. And our president said he stands by them. He was here in Michigan when they went on strike for better wages and better employment treatment. You think 45 gave a fuck about that? Yet there are still fuckers here in this state that will stand to him to their graves. You can't make it make sense because it doesn't make sense. It is indoctrination, and you cannot unbrainwash those who think they want to be better than people. That's all it is about. And when you play upon somebody thinking they're better than somebody, that's all you need. Even if the shit you do to them is illogical. Even if you pass bills saying that their protection isn't warranted. Even if you pass laws saying that their rights to choose their own body function isn't viable anymore. They are proper foot soldiers for fuckery. The president also said that Wall Street, no offense to them, because they helped keep the finances going, but they did not build America. Blue collar, middle class did. No offense to the brokers, but it's those of us who work and put money in, who are taxed to high heaven, who like me are waiting for the IRS to once again understand that my kid is a dependent and I can claim them. Any of us who struggle each year with the earned income tax credit for our children know the pain of those fucking delays, and it fucking sucks. I am a self-employed business owner now, selling my books, selling my merch, my wares, doing these streams. And yet I have to wait every fucking year for a decent tax return because reasons. Gotta make sure nobody else is claiming my kid, which is a fucking annoyance. But that is the reality of those of us who don't make millions of dollars and can't get around the tax code. And speaking of which, because I made the joke, America gets knocked down, but it gets up again and never get keep down. He wants to end the whole trickle-down lie and take the wealthy on, but not villainize them, just make them pay their fair share in taxes, which is something that should have been done. But we learned after Reagan, with his trickle down, with his buddy to the rich people, the fallout of that shit. Why people who already have too much wealth hoarding don't want to spread it around and share it, even though in a healthy, stabilized society, they make more too. The president made that clear. That in a stabilized society, we have less crime. We have less reason for people to be discontent. We have more people willing to work because they're working under safety protocols. They're working in a society where their work means something. Yet we have allowed this disconnect, this hoarding of wealth to be elevated to high standards of society when they're just degenerates with more money. It is sickening the way we kiss ass at these capitalists. Let me make sure something's not going through. Okay. I thought I heard something. Sorry, y'all. Because I do have some streams muted in the background that I want to get back to after this as well. So he talked about the prices of pharmacy and how he has worked hard to lower them for people because it shouldn't cost $750 for insulin for people. An EpiPen shouldn't cost thousands of dollars for those of us like me who need it every once in a while to have them. He wants to make sure that people do not break from high drug costs. He wants to make sure that higher education doesn't destroy us. He wants Medicare being able to negotiate lower prices for medicine. And he is highlighting that $200 million was saved on drug costs alone for prescription drug users, especially cancer patients. And he also threw a little bit of shade at Moscow, saying they can come and get their scripts here cheap. President Biden was on fire last night, talking both candidly and seriously about so much, and I love that. He made it clear Obamacare was not dead. The American Care Act was just reinvented to fit more American families' needs. But the GOP wants to take away the Affordable Care Act. And they tried to heckle him when he said that, but the president wasn't playing. He clapped them all back. He started the Women's Health Research, led by his wife, Jill Biden, because it is woefully understaffed, underdeveloped. There are still doctors that don't understand what's going on with our bodies internally. And to have a functioning center where we can start understanding things so that when we go to the hospital, which was a very real thing for me, very real thing for Beans, we're not treated like we're hysterical. It's not downplayed. It's not misdiagnosed as something else. We're not treated as just unuseful unless we're pregnant. And even then, mother-infant mortality rates are still too high here because doctors don't bother to learn how we function. It is a serious issue, and I am so glad that the president and First Lady Jill Biden are taking this seriously because it is scary times. I just read an article in the UK about this young lady who kept going in for pains in her legs. And they said it was anxiety. They told her don't worry about it. They gave her a prescription. And it was blood clots. They didn't even bother to scan her for the blood clots and she lost her life. This is a very real and scary thing for so many of us women because we're not heard in ERs. We're not heard in hospitals. We're not heard in our doctor's offices. And the shit needs to stop because it's fucking scary. I am grateful that I'm going to get at least 2-3 week reprieve before I have to see doctors again. Before I have to be poked and prodded and get labs again. Because the last 3 months have been hell. Just trying to get answers to what was wrong. And finding out that the things that I was taking for the hypocalcemia was now causing potentially hypercalcemia. It's a fucking balancing act, and I was still not getting any answers. On top of so many other things. And it is so viable that we have people in our legislative services and in our medical services that start to fucking listen. And if it takes having the president and first lady create a commission and other viable institutes that focus on women's maternal health, I'm all for it. He wants every child to read. This was the educational stuff. He wants every child to read by the 3rd grade because education funding is vital. From K to 12, we definitely need it. He wants to make sure college is optional and affordable, expand Pell Grants and grants to HBCUs and Hispanic institutions. He also wants it to be known that trade schools should be viable, that you shouldn't just need a diploma, and I say this as somebody with a diploma, to continue to find employment that will sustain you and your family. It is viable that we do not education shame in this country. It shouldn't matter how educated you are. Your determination to care for yourself and your family shouldn't be quantified by a piece of paper. I don't even fucking use my degree. I'm glad I have it, but I don't use it. And what troubles me is the people in this country that struggle because they don't have anything from a college saying that they're smart enough or gifted enough. When they can work with their hands, when they can do amazing jobs like the chip centers we have here, which the president said you can make $100,000 a year just helping assemble chips that go into the electric cars and other devices. So he wants Americans to understand that the only wall that you have to hit is self-imposed. And I was so happy to hear him say that. He said he fixed 2 student loan issues. He reduced student debts for the first responders, especially our nurses, our doctors, and firefighters. He wants a raise for public school teachers. And this administration cut the federal deficit by a freaking $1 trillion. $1 trillion. Not a million, not a billion, $1 trillion. Which was also how much the deficit went into under 45, given tax cuts and breaks to his buddies and pals. He wanted to talk about taxes, though. The fair taxes. No more squeezing those of us who make under $400K. He said the tax credit, the child tax credit, helped millions of American families, and it did. I was able to get kiddo a new laptop. I was able to keep us afloat while we were getting ready to move, all because of that, and he wants to expand it beyond and make it permanent. He wants to give new homeowners like my husband and myself a $400 a month tax credit to help keep us stable for utilities and beyond. We're getting ready to grow, which is another point of contention. I'll argue about it tomorrow maybe. Y'all need to give me my potatoes. I ordered them. You gave me a bunch of other seeds. You did not give me the most expensive seeds, and I'm not going to stay off you. I know it's the weekend, but I will be calling on Monday if you don't respond to me soon. Tangent over. But he said, point blank, federal taxes for billionaires is ridiculous because they only pay 0.8% of the taxes that's supposed to sustain our country. But if they paid the 25% that the president wants, it would raise billions of dollars to funnel back in the programs and services that can help American people and stabilize our society and economy. So why aren't they doing it? Why are we protecting these assholes who have way more than enough? 0.8% is fucking crazy to me. And it's been that way fucking decades. And this is the first president that said, enough's enough. Pay your fair share. And I went on a tangent about that too. And he said, point blank to the GOP, I will stop you from raising the Social Security retirement age. So all you old assholes out there talking about, oh, I don't understand why Biden is the way he is. The GOP wants you working to your fucking dust. They don't want you to retire comfortably. And they would love to steal Social Security. And this president is not going to allow them to do that. And you need to be thankful of that. Because I know a lot of you pensioners who are on both pension and Social Security. So you have a lot of fucking nerve shading this president who is trying his damnedest to protect you from the jackals who want to completely eliminate this program that keeps our seniors and those on disability from going hungry, homeless, and struggling. But you don't want to hear it, right? Rather be red than dead, right? He addressed the heckling GOP. He named names on the bill pushers that will harm our economy with inflation. Banks and credit card companies can suck it. He got rid of the junk fees, which I love. No more overdraft fees. No more weird hidden fees when you sign up for credit cards and stuff. He took $20 billion of their profit and put it back in the hands of the American people. He made folks tell prices up front from cable to travel agencies because it's needed and necessary. He started talking about the bipartisan border bill, which a lot of hecklers started. And he said, draft me something. Let's get immigration tackled so that it doesn't take 6 years for people seeking asylum. Getting more justices that will hear cases and get families through. He will no longer put up with 45 separation of families. And he is a fucking dummy. I kept putting that. President Biden said he will not demonize immigrants seeking asylum here. He will not demonize people based on their religious or cultural ties. And that was so needed because, need I remind you, I've told the story about my friends in North Carolina who were just trying to get their grandmother here. 45 got elected. A grandmother got grabbed up for being Muslim. I will never forget that because it broke my heart and it makes no sense. We should move past vilifying people because they're different. He said that he wants the John Lewis Freedom to Vote and the Voters' Right Act passed, the Equality Act. He has transgendered Americans back, which is the first time I've ever seen an American president really say it with his whole chest that if you are a transgender American, you are not alone, and that this president and the White House have your right to exist at the forefront of their thoughts. He wants the PRO Act to help workers and raise minimum wage. He wants to cut carbon emissions and move us towards EV. He created the Climate Corps, which is a group of individuals working to help clean up our air, clean up our waters. We want safe drinking waters from here, especially in Flint and beyond, to be better for all of America. And no, I don't live in Flint, y'all, but I do live in the state where Flint is. Hecklers needed to stop. It really was embarrassing. He talked about working on bringing back hostages that are held in Russia. And like I said, with the Israeli stuff, I get that the president, because we have been allies with the state of Israel for years now, has to walk a fine line. So I won't ding him on his support. But I know he knows Netanyahu is committing war crimes, humanitarian crimes, terroristic crimes. And what we need are leaders to come together and press both Netanyahu and Hamas to come to the table and draft an accord that will free the Palestinian people from being slaughtered, bring actual peaceful negotiations, cease fire so that we can get aid to the suffering Palestinian people and establish a state where they can live freely, worship freely, go to school, be fed, and live a good life. You will never get me to stray from believing in the path of peace, because this conflict has gone on too long, and trying to prove which side is right is fucking tiring and juvenile. We need a ceasefire, we need aid to the Palestinian people, and we need peace. And I am sick and tired of people trying to get people like me to just take a side. I'm on the side of peace. He wants no more fears, especially of China. He wants fair trade, but he also wants America to stay at the top of our game. Because right now, our gross domestic product, our GDP, is at its highest under the Biden-Harris administration. And we want to keep going with that. And exactly, I get that Biden's super old. I'm old too. Old people can do amazing things. With age comes experience and wisdom. And I think using his age against him when 45 is not that much younger, and he's already the presumptive nominee now that Nikki Haley has dropped out, the Republicans are going to stand behind their geriatric. So why don't we support the man who has gotten more work done in 4 years than some presidents have done in 8? That's my belief. I'm not here to sway people. I just want y'all to vote. Because that's another thing. Too many people are playing with it. I don't think I'm going to vote. I'm uncommitted. We need voters. We need you reeling in that power that you have to keep us moving towards the path of progress. And it's scary to me how many people listen to the media, listen to other people saying, well, I don't know. I'm not getting what I want all the time. And that's not how politics work. One of the things he talked about was harnessing AI, but banning AI voice impersonations. Because I'm sure he heard a lot of those commercials even where his voice is being used. I don't know how I feel about how people are villainizing AI. I am very pro-tech. I think AI is a part of the future. I've even wrote a literal story about how humans will eventually have to evolve with tech. But he wants to protect kids from tech exploits. He's talked about how he lived the American story. He wanted to make sure that hate has no safe harbor while he's president and beyond. He talks about gun violence and wanting to draft bills to make it where it's harder for people to arm up, to stockpile, and just destroy innocent lives. He wants to see a future for all Americans in the country. He's a president for all Americans, even those who don't vote for him. He wants the people to shape this nation, build the future together, and be stronger together. And I was so glad that I took all of these notes because it was so vital to hear from our president what he aims to do and a path that he's going to take to make this happen. And I get it. We are still a nation of people who are entitled, people who are apathetic, but we are so many of us who are determined to protect our democracy. And all we have to do is keep it together and work together. But I'm at my hour, y'all. Thank you so much, Grandemir and Beans, for sitting in with me. Thank you, honey. I know you're lurking as well, because he's still working, y'all. I just want you to understand why this is so important to me. Why the State of the Union address lit the fire that I thought was dying from just burnout of talking about politics. And hugs right back at you, Grandemir. Let me give you a big hug there. It's tiring because there are times where I feel like everything I say and do just hits a brick wall, but I know that is not the case. So if you care about the rights of everyone and you just want us to move towards progress, make sure you start at your ballot because that's where our power lies. But I'm going to wrap this up. I will see you all next Friday. See some of you tomorrow on YouTube, where I do my now calling out the heifer and other fun stuff on YouTube for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending. I am starting to get back into the swing of things, but until I get the clear bill of health next month, Tell It Tuesdays are on hiatus for a bit. Plus, I really need to get the second novel finished, but I'm already running long, y'all. I will see you all next week. Thank you all for tuning in.